Hey y'all, welcome to Cards and Sharps. How you doing? Good. Time to look at another knife. What we have here is kind of sort of familiar looking. It's got a kind of a familiar shape to it. This is the Essee Expat Medillin. Medellin. Is that Medellin like in Colombia? So this cartel knife. And you see it says, get the light right there, Expat on the blade, and says Medellin there. So it is in their Expat lineup. This also is in, this is a pretty new knife. It's in their first production run. It's stamped on the blade there, so pretty interesting. It's a Taiwan-made Allstate, and it seems to me it's kind of a renaming. This looks very familiar to, very much like the ones Essee had out, the Avispa and you had the Wasp and the Hornet or something like that in Spanish names. And I have had my hands on those, and this looked very familiar to that. And I think, which Essee kind of is where Randall designs went after, the rat knives, which we'll compare this to that here in a minute. And then it looks like this might be a kind of just a rebranding of Essee, the knives they were producing that looked very much like the rat knives, with just a little difference. We'll go ahead and get the rat out. This is the rat one, made by Ontario. And these, and actually by this point, when I got this one, they may have already quit using Randall's name as much, and this one doesn't have the Randall Action Training emblem on it. It's just Ontario. But as you can see, you can see the a lot of the motivation that went into the rat is present in the this Expat. Now, the previous Essee knives in this realm had more of the canoe look that the rat does than this one, and more of a pretty much similar blade size. This one's got a wider blade, and we'll get into the specs here in a minute. So, big difference. Also, in the Essee knives is one side is going to be G10, and the other side is just the bare stainless, and you do have a frame lock rather than liner lock. So, they kind of made it there. Took some of the aspects of the rat and made it their own with doing that. Not sure what I think about that wholly. Almost looks a little unfinished, but we'll get into that in a second. First, let's discuss some of the specs on this. Weight is going to be 4.22, so it's a little bit heavier. Officially, it's listed at 4.10. The handle is 4.8, so nice big handle that you can get a good grip on, and blade length is going to be 3.5 inches, and that looks like pretty much 3.5 usable surface as well. Not really a, don't really have much, little bit of a sharpening tool there, but not much. But you do have this jimping on the back. Blade width this way is, let's zero that out. I'm coming in at 1.13 on that, and thickness is going to be 0.106. So fairly, for the size of the knife, it's fairly thin blade stock. They listed at 0.12, so that could be my caliper's off a bit, or that's pretty close, but you know, nice drop point with a flat grind, and like I said, fairly thin stock for the size of knife it is, so should be a pretty good slicer. But you got enough there, and it feels like it'd be robust enough to handle pretty good, pretty heavy duty work. The handle material they're calling FRN. Good texture to it, and actually it maybe doesn't feel quite as nice as G10, but if you tell somebody it's G10, and they probably wouldn't argue with you. It's a pretty good job on that. It's going to be right-handed only. It come tip up, which tip down, which is not how I would carry it if I was to carry this knife. But you can move it to tip up configuration, and it goes kind of comes off a little, goes to the other side a little bit. So don't know if that alters anything. But it is a deep carry clip, so pretty nice there. And it's only on the stainless side. The FRN side does not have so it's going to be right hand only. And with the liner lock, it's going to be more user friendly for right-handers. Be honest with you, before I get into some of the other fit and finish stuff, that liner is kind of hard to get to it. There's the recess there that allows you to get your finger in there, and I've got a nick on my thumb, plus I've been fidgeting with knives all day, so thumb's already a little bit tender, and that is a booger to actually get that slide over. Almost, yeah, my thumb is too sore to do it, so I'm having to get in there. It's pretty stiff. Also, I haven't messed with this one much, so it does feel like it needs some break-in, either that or a little bit of cleaning. It's got bronze washers. Might just need a little cleaning and maybe a little oil, but it's at this point it's not broke in to a point where I feel like you can really get it, especially with my thumb being sore today. It's not that flickable at the moment. See, even with my thumb being sore, the rat just pops right out there. So that's just to show you I'm not being a weakling today. All right, so what else we got? Blade steel is All-Sate on this one, and it is a Taiwan made, so I know that could be a selling point to to some of you folks that you'd rather not get Chinese made, and Taiwan does have a good reputation for putting out good knives. Talk a little bit about the build here. The centering looks pretty good. Like I said, it's a little tight. Could loosen that pivot a little bit and see if it would loosen that up. And also I would flip the clip over. But this is probably not going to be a keeper, so I'm not going to do that. I'll let the next owner, if they choose to make those adjustments, make those adjustments. Just first impressions, me, I kind of wish they went either or on that. Do the bare frame, both sides. I think that side I think that looks pretty cool, and that looks pretty cool. So you should either do both sides that way. I know you can't do the frame lock and have the scales like that. So so I'd rather see it just be just the metal on both sides to give it just. It just kind of looks like it's unfinished, or like you broke scales off of it or something like that. And from what I can see here, it does not look like there's any stainless on the other side. So that is the frame, that material there. So let's see if it's got any flakes to it. It's got just a little bit of flex to it. That might, if you, I don't know what the chances that could break at some point. But if you do break a scale, you're out, because that is the structure of the knife. These are $50 knives, so and where this is a $25 to $35 knife, depending on whether you get Essee or D2. So that's what it's comparing to, because that is the design they're copying. Another thing with the clip being where it is, it creates a bit of a bothersome, because it's you can see it's got a pretty good aggressive bend angle to it there. So you don't have to go far up the knife and you start feeling that clip into you, and then you feel some dig right here in the meat of your hand where that curve up is. It's where you're not used to feeling, especially if you're a blade up carrier. You're not used to feeling that clip there, so it does kind of annoy me a bit. The blade's tight, don't feel any play in it. Like I said, that lock and that lockup is good and solid, but like I said, it's a stiff lockup. If you got sore fingers, this is not going to be a fidget knife, because you will wear your thumb out trying to slide that over multiple times. Like I said, you could probably back off that pivot screw just a bit and maybe loosen it up. I think first I would just operate it, maybe drop a little oil in there and see if that loosens it up. And if that doesn't really help, you might go the drastic route and disassemble and clean and oil. That might be what it needs. I prefer not to buy a new knife that needs that at the point that you bring it home, that it needs to be disassembled and cleaned. Lot, a lot of things. I mean, if it wasn't for that clip where it is, I mean, and your fingers are on this side, so that's where you want the grippiness. But I don't know. I still, you get the two different sensations. You feel in the metal on this side, and you feel in the FRN on this side. So it just, otherwise the shape of the handle and the size of the handle is nice. Just that clip, and I could probably even live with the combination surface there, but yeah, that clip definitely would it'd either have to come off or move. So just I mean, I wanted to like this knife, and actually the Avispas that I looked at, some of the other Essee knives I looked at, I found feel pretty nice. This one, I don't know. For $50, I would pass on this one. I'm not. It feels like a $30. To me, it feels like a $30 knife. And because it doesn't feel any better knife than the Rat. I mean, the tightness of it makes, you almost, it's like, well, the Rat feels kind of tinny, because it's so loose and everything. But, we're looking at, you both got AUS 8, but the Rat's got a, stainless frame with scales. And like I said, if this is a $30 knife, then so is this one. So that's my thoughts on that. I like most knives. As you guys know, I love knives. I collect knives. So I pretty much find something positive in all of them. But this one, where it what it's competing with and what its purpose is, I just not seeing any increased value of it over say a Rat or many other knives at this point in that price range. Spyderco's making some knives in that price range which feel better. Then you got Civivi and some of those that are in that price range that just have something that just has a lot better feel and action to it. So that is my thoughts on this. Maybe I just got one that just doesn't feel as good. Maybe it's too tight, whatever that is. But other than even if it was not so tight and then I could flick it real easily. It's just not tripping my trigger any, and that's hard not to do because I like I said, heck, I like this knife. This Savord Peasant knife. Just a friction lock with this funky tang that you hold that keeps the blade in place. I like that. It's just, a lot of it has to do with what you're getting for the money, and $50 is just not, I'm not seeing it there with that knife. Alright guys, that is it for the Essee Expat Medillin. Love to hear your comments. If you found this review helpful at all, give me a like and subscribe. And on the comments, if you got any experience with this knife, let me know what you think of it. Do you think I'm full of beans? Didn't give it a good fair shot, or do you feel the same way about it and your impressions are the same? Love to hear from you. All right, we'll see you guys next time.